Hello, hello, welcome back. I'm Claire, this is Purple Poppy, and we are on part 2 of the January panel for my Just Because quilt. Now, as you can see, I've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4 very decorative, and the others a lot plainer. So I'm going to do two things to the other pieces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop on the name, and then when that's all done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some printing to them. So I've taken all of my lozenges out now. I've got my light box, well, hubby's light box. I'm going to pop this on. I did do two, but I'm actually only going to use the top one. Turn it on now that the paper's on so it's not too glary. I'm going to work out that I want this as the top, so I make sure I've got it round the right way, and I'm going to start there, and I'm going to pop that T in the centre. Okay, so I'm using my heat erasable pen, and I'm just going to draw this, okay, and then moving my fabric around because I want to put one letter in each of the lozenges. Whoops. And basically what I'm trying to create is that the name is in a circle of love. That's the plan. And then one of my Christmas toys I'm going to break out to do some printing next time. If anybody's interested, this is the Harrington font on standard desktop package that I've used to print this out. It's the same font that I used in my Roxy's Journal of Stitchery book. I'm going to pop that there, and then we've got this. Turn that off. There we go. Get rid of the brightness that you may have been suffering. Bit of Jenga went on there. Sorry about that. So now you can see I've got the name in a circle of love. Now I don't like the double lines, so I'm only going to follow the single, but you know, that's something you decide as you're putting it together. Now, as you're aware, the other side of this has got purple, green, red, brown colours in it. I'm thinking that what I would like to do is I'd like to use a rich purple. I don't think I've done much purple stuff yet. So I've got this nice rich purple which goes with the character of this person, so that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a needle, I'm going to pull out some thread, and I'm going to stitch these. Now I'm going to stitch this in a whipped back stitch. It's a stitch that I use a lot. If you've been here for a while, you will undoubtedly have seen me use it. I just think it will be awesome to have the name of the owner on the quilt. So there you go. Now, although obviously the name starts up there, I'm going to start down here just because this A is in front of me. So I'm just literally going to come in, just do standard back stitch, and then when I've done the whole letter, I'll come round and I will whip it. Now, you can obviously whip in a different colour, and then you would get like a stripe effect. If you did it in red and white, it would be like a candy cane. But obviously you can do any colours. I'm just going to whip it in the same colour to make it slightly raised and bold. That's the plan. So let's get a proper back stitch running now. So there you go. How are you all? How is your first week of normality into the new year after the holidays? It still feels very weird at the moment. I've been referring to the date as 2024. I still can't. I feel like we're not far enough into the year yet for me to appreciate that it's a new year. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? So that's where I'm at. But I've been doing quite a few bits and pieces, which is good. The tree's gone now. Well, it's not gone, but it's been taken down. All the decorations are down. Christmas food has gone. So we're starting to eat real food again, whatever that may be. Yeah. And the normal routines are starting to fall into place. So yeah, it's all good. Lots of new projects obviously getting going. Everybody's got something new out for 2025. You obviously can't do them all, so you have to sort of pick the ones that work for you. I did start the Elizabeth Dane one, her first, whoops, I was going to say challenge, but her first prompt rather than challenge was black and red. She's doing a series of stitched circles, and you may have seen mine on Instagram. The first one was a black circle with red stitching. I also did the first Miss Painterlock's one. She's obviously only paper, but she's working her way through the alphabet on a fortnightly basis, because obviously there's 26 letters, only 52 weeks in the year, so that's what she's doing. So I did A. So yeah, I've been super busy. I'm also working on the swap for the treasured page, because that's come round again. So it's all happening. Actually, I need to chase up some swaps. I was involved in the Arty Farty Annie tag swap And I've got some that I haven't received yet, so I need to have a little look into that, make sure they're not lost in the post. Right, so I've done the whole A. What I'm going to do now is whip it. So anyone who's not done this before, I'm just going to come back up and then using the blunt eye end of the needle, making sure you always come from the same side, doesn't matter what side. Oh, except you need to do every stitch, not miss one. Right, sorry, always coming from the same side, so I'm going bottom up. You can obviously go top down, it really doesn't matter, but you need to make sure that however you start is how you carry on. And just going through each of those stitches that's there, and that joins this lovely sort of rope effect, joining all the stitches together. So, and whilst you can obviously all read, I've deliberately not said the name, because if a certain person is watching this, then there's going to be surprise information, as it were. I don't think she watches every video. I think we'll be okay. So, it doesn't take long at all, as you can see, to whip it. And then where I'm at the end here, obviously we don't want a crossover line, so I'm just going to go down through the fabric, pull that tight, and you can see the difference now where it's whipped and where it's just stitched. And then I'm going to come over to here. I mean, you could start there if you wanted to. I just like an obvious start point. So let's go all the way round again. If for some reason you can't pick it up, you can obviously do it with the pointy end. You just need to make sure that you don't actually stitch. You only want to go under the stitch, you don't want to go through the fabric. We're very lucky not to have had any of the snow or snow problems. I'm down in Kent in the UK. We had the slightest bit of snow on, I think that was Saturday night, but it didn't settle. It was much too wet to settle. And we've just remained very rainy and wet. It's very windy, and the wind is very chilly, but that's about it. So none of the problems that are being suffered up north. There we go, and there's our last one. 3 and back down. And there we've got our lovely A. Okay, so I'm just going to finish that off on the back side with one of my wrap knots. And I'm going to move on over to the N. So, starting with this spokey bit, and of course each one of these hexes are slightly different fabrics, so they will all stitch marginally differently. Funny enough, you're watching this on Friday, and this person has actually got birthday tomorrow, so there'll be some festivities, some gift giving. What are you all up to? See, I can't help myself. I just end up doing these giant size stitches. It's definitely an issue that I have. Right, so then here we go again. Bottom to top. This one is much silkier than the last fabric we were working on. Poke that down. Then back up. Gonna have to use the spiky bit here. There we go, back to the blunt end. And then where you've got that curve coming in, I'm actually going to go through the back, because I don't want it arcing across and causing me a potential problem. There we go. So we've got an A and an N. Okay. Because I've got that dodgy bit there, I'm going to move up here to the F. I might even redraw them. I'll see. This is very, very thin cotton, this one. Sorry, I'm not very talkative, am I? Just concentrating on what I'm doing. Whoops, don't come off your needle. Not going to have enough thread, am I? I think we'll put this through and finish it off, and then we'll get a fresh piece. I think it's the safest way to go. So this is week 2, isn't it? Part 2. Part 3 will be the stamp design that I mentioned, and then obviously week 4 is going to be joining it on. So I'm going to have to size this up against the space on the quilt. If you remember, I did 5-inch squares to do multiples of. So I'm going to have to work out, because I'm not sure how many squares I allotted for January. So we're going to have a little look-see, because if we look at it on here, we line this up on there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is on 11, so it's gone over the 10. So I'm guessing that means we need to go into 15. So I'm going to need more, aren't I? So I'll have to size it up and see if I need to do more, as you know, part of the homework, as it were. So I'll check that before I see you again. Whether or not I need more. I've got plenty of white, so it's not a problem. But obviously you need to work that out. Okay. When you're doing quite a tight curve like this, I've always find it's easier to do many small stitches. Mind you, I would say that because I used to do giant ones. It might be normal stitches for you. Okay. So, I'm going to go right to the end now. And weave through again. So, got to be honest and say, this very thin cotton has been the hardest one of all of them. Just because it's so thin. Yeah, I'm going to have to use the spiky bit. Whoops. I'm going to go straight down the middle. I'll come back and do the crossover bar when I'm finished. Okay, so that's my F, and we just come all the way up, feed that through, and then there is the edge of my crossover. So up there, and then up the other side, because I've only got one stitch on each side, and then back down. And finish that off. There we go. So although obviously I'm working the wrong way round, not going as the name is, we're getting a long way. That's good. So I'll do the other F now, exactly the same way. See, thicker fabric, totally different to stitch. It's one of the things that I always find interesting, doing things like this. I hope I'm not off screen. No, that's good. When I posted last week's video, lovely Corinne, who's hosting this, left a comment saying she was interested to see what I was going to do with these hexes. So there you are, Corinne. This is part 1 of what I'm doing with them. We're getting letters on, and then we're going to do some stamping. Right, so I'm sure you've well and truly got the idea by now. You don't really need to watch me stitch another F. I think I might iron these out and do them single lines the way I did these. And before I see you again, I need to double check if we need more of these. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found some fun and inspiration. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Ta-ta for now.